We're here today with Seedstock and Halfpenny Brewing, and they're working together on a collaboration fest beer. So tell us, guys, what's going on with this beer? What's it all about? What kind of flavors are we going to get?
Go ahead, Chris.
So we're doing a Lichtenhainer, which is a old-style German beer. It's basically a smoked Berliner Weisse. So in the old days, before they had electricity and coal to dry the malt, they would put it over a fire and it would get smoky regardless. So it's kind of like a 1700s Berliner Weisse. We actually had it brewed over 2 days, so we mashed in on a Tuesday, we let it sour for 2 days, and brewed on Thursday. So it should be really interesting. The fun part about it is none of us have ever had one before. It's a style that's been brewed like 8 times in the U.S. over the last few years.
So however it tastes, it's going to be great.
It's going to be exactly
amazing,
on
right?
style.
Exactly.
Can't be wrong.
Perfect. I like it. So where did the inspiration for this come from?
I think it kind of goes back with kind of the traditional beers that we like to make at Seedstock, and honestly, a lot of the knowledge from them on souring and some of the different things, and we got together, and it ended up being a beer that was interesting to all of us. So we figured, why not?
Awesome.
In Seedstock, we like things that are old, and so this was a good style for us. And these guys at Halfpenny do a lot of beers that we really love as well, old German styles. That it was just a really good fit. It was a really good fit.
The two breweries are kind of like mothers from another brother.
Nice.
No, brothers from another mother. Other way around.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. It's because we both do. Primarily European. We're kind of big into the lagers and the maltier beers, and so it was just a perfect fit.
Awesome. So how did you guys kind of get together at first? Did you guys start talking about Collaboration Fest? Was it before Collaboration Fest?
Yeah, Chris came into the brewery one afternoon, and I'd never met you before, and we just started shooting the breeze. And hey, you want to work together on something? And
yeah, one of our taproom guys had been in and said, "Man, you got to get up to Seedstock. You'll love the place. It's it'll feel just like home." And sure enough, came up, and it was a great afternoon. We sat around, we were kind of just talking, and hey, it's coming up. You guys want to do something? Absolutely. So we all kind of packed it in, and everybody came down, and Frank came down early, and then Jason came down, and so kind of went through the available choices and what kind of things we like to do, and it wound up working out great.
Awesome. So Seedstock, you guys, this is your first time doing Collaboration Fest.
Us too.
You as well?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought
We're the older brother because we just had our anniversary in February, at the end of February. So we beat them by a month and a half. If that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah, it's a huge difference.
So are you guys super excited to be part of the whole Collaboration Fest?
yeah, very excited. And maybe the funnest thing for me was just seeing how another brewer approaches something, and we get to the same end place, but we get there in a different way. And it was really cool to see how Halfpenny, does things different from us, and we'll steal things from them, and maybe they won't steal.
We've already stolen things from them, so yes.
Very collaborative industry as it is by itself,
Yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what does collaboration mean to each of you? Yeah, Frank, you're first.
Oh, thanks. I think it's a cool way of just this business. When we first started off, everybody said, "Oh, you guys are all in cahoots. You all talk the same. You all do all this stuff." Sure, we all talk. We all know exactly. We all know what we want to bring to the customer, and we learn from each other. We've learned so much from everybody else. People just walk in and say, "Hey, this is how we do this. This is how we do this." We're just now getting into the bottling and this and that. And a couple guys come in and say, "Hey, I built this way." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And instead of having to go out and buy a $10,000 machine, we can make it for a couple $100 and get us started. And that's the way it is. I mean, everybody talks to everybody and kind of gets us to where we want to be eventually over the end, you know, and I think that's great. You know, I went down to these guys, you know, to check them out. I sat down, had the beers, and I'm just like, I texted them right off the bat. You know, that we want to work with these guys. You know, it's like their Schwartz beer, sick. You know, their beers, it's like they're almost exactly the same way and the same mouthfeel and the same presence that we do. And I was like, unbelievable. It's a joy to, I think, to work with these guys.
You know, and I'll tell you, I think that the coolest thing about this industry is that we can work with people that we genuinely like. And, you know, we like these guys, and that makes it fun. It's really the bottom line.
And seemingly, too, we have no enemies. I mean, when you look at it, Budweiser is against Miller, this and that. Nobody seems to be against anybody.
Unless you're stealing their name.
Right.
Right.
That's fighting words.
Right.
But anything else, I mean, to me, that was one of the reasons we got into the industry.
Right.
Is because just talking to everybody and being able to go in and I can remember going to Great American Beer Festival. This is probably almost 10 years ago. And Garrett Oliver was there. And he was there in his tux like he always is. And I said, hey, you know, I'm just tried your beer. I'm curious, you know, what did you guys do here? 20 minutes later, after he's explained to me what they do with the whole beer, that they're moving from their 7-barrel system to a new one, and here's how they're doing it and why. And I'm like, I kind of want to say, Garrett, you do realize that you're one of the top 5 people in beer in the United States, and I'm a home brewer who's never made anything more than 5 gallons. But it's just such a great fraternity of folks. And again, as long as you're not stealing names, you know, equipment, you want to know anything about, you know, ingredients, connections, everybody realizes that we're such a small segment of the industry that if any of us gets better, we all get better. In every facet, distribution, quality, you know, you name it.
Come on, Jace, you gotta have something to say.
Collaboration speaks for itself. You work off of each other's strengths. And I really think that was where it was a big thing for me, working with Chris and saying, you know what, I've never done a traditional soured beer. Let me learn from you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this whole beer came from. It was something that I had read about, but you know, it was the unicorn. Who's made it? So we said, hey, let's do it. You know, that's where collaboration comes from.
Definitely. And this whole industry, like you guys were saying, everybody's helping everybody. You know what I mean? It's why not have a festival about it where you're celebrating?
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. And the winner is the craft beer drinker.
That's
Oh,
right.
definitely.
That's right. That's right. One of a kind beers you get to try out there.
Yeah, you're going to get stuff you'll never see anywhere else or any other time.
Definitely. So what was your favorite part about brewing the actual beer? Or coming up with the recipe?
For me, my favorite part of this whole process was brewing at Halfpenny. I've brewed here numerous times. It becomes, you can do it in your sleep. But going and seeing how somebody else does it and actually working with them and, well, watching a lot. But, you know, it was...
Don't touch my
the
toys.
different things that you learn about why would you want to have a separate regulator on the outside of your cooler makes sense when you actually use it and you work with them. So I took it as a huge learning experience, just things that I'll do different in the future.
Awesome.
So hopefully Chris comes to our place and learns what not to do.
You always learn from everybody during this process. All I got to say, my favorite, you know, we mashed on Tuesday. It was awesome. We brewed on Thursday, which was phenomenal. Unfortunately, Frank couldn't make it. And then for the next 2 hours, when we were finished, we got everything cleaned up. We sat around and had a beer. And that was the best part of brewing.
Terrible way.
That is the best part of brewing, isn't it? The finished product.
Talking, you know, shooting the shit and exchanging stories and, you know, how these guys do certain things and how they're working with certain vendors and, you know, what they're planning on doing. Like, oh, that's a good idea. We should think about that.
Constantly collaborative and constantly craft.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, cheers to you guys.
Did you just make that up right now?
I did.
Oh, that was
I'm pointing that one.
That was
Pointing
really
that one.
You might want to trademark that one soon before anybody else
I got it on
uses
video, guys.
Okay.
So cheers, guys, and come to Collaboration Fest and check out the beers from Seedstock and Halfpenny.
Cheers.